Hello everyone, welcome back to Killer Film Reviews with your host, Landedkiller. Today we'll be talking about the film Bluebeetle, which had me going for some laughs and some giggles, I must say. I really liked the parts where Xolo Mariduena, who plays Jamie Reyes, was out there and really going for it. I feel like I liked this film a lot better than The Flash. I feel like this film would have been better if it had been released before Flash, and I believe Flash is hurting this film's box office potential at the moment. I think what really turned a lot of people off from seeing this film, including me initially, was just the fact that The Flash was just not the best film to watch. It was okay at best. This film, Bluebeetle, I'm going to give it a 7.5 just because I felt like the story could have used a little bit more building. There's a lot of funny moments in this particular film that I liked, such as the little part where they spend in the Cord building. There's a couple of actors and actresses, like to call it. We got Jenny Cord, played by Bruna Marquez, Becky G, who's Kaja Da, that's the Scarab, Damien Alcazar, who is in a lot of Hispanic films, he's playing Alberto Reyes. George Lopez as Rudy Reyes. Adrania Barraza as Nana Reyes, which was awesome. Melissa Escobedo as Milagro Reyes, that didn't seem to do much. Susan Sarandon as Victoria Cord. Harvey Gullion as Dr. Sanchez. Raul Max Trujillo as Carpax. Trujillo as Carpax. So essentially this film kind of goes back and forth between the cast. It's a really family-centered film. You could really enjoy this with your family. Nice little family film to see just to get your mind off things in the current world. I think this film's strong points are just its connections to family and the humor that they throw in that isn't overdone like the recent Marvel films. I really feel that, as I said before, this film would have done better if its release order had been before Flash. So I believe that it would have been a really good, stronger outlook on the box office if it had. I'm seeing on the IMDb that it's currently rated as a 6.8, but I still give it a 7.5 because it's not the worst film in the world. It's just kind of an average film, but it's definitely better than Flash. Flash definitely had its moments. We all gotta agree that CGI was just terrible in Flash when they're in the chronosphere. It's not giving away too much, I hope, but yeah, there's a lot of parts in Flash that I kind of just didn't like thinking back on it now, but yeah, I forget what I gave that one. But for this film, 7.5, not quite an 8, just because I feel the film could have had more time to really develop the plot, honestly, but I think this is going to be a film that kind of builds itself out with the next installment if it doesn't get canceled like Black Adam 2 was. I honestly don't know why Black Adam was just bombing so hard. I guess it was just because of the timing. The fact that James Gunn made a lot of creative decisions on the future of the DCU, basically like not letting the Snyderverse continue, which I'm still not happy about. I think it could have continued in a different form, perhaps as a TV series. Honestly, I feel like if you wanted to tell Snyder's story right, it would be best told in a TV series and not necessarily in the films, because I don't think they're going to give him enough budget to do an entire film again. I am a big advocate for the Ayer cut to be released. That's the Suicide Squad original film, but the original creative vision of the director, not the altered version. Honestly, I think that if you're going to watch the 2016 Suicide Squad, you should watch the extended version and don't even watch the regular version because it's so bad. The extended version at least corrects some of the regular version's mistakes, but Ayer cut is really what I want to see, but it doesn't really seem to be getting much traction right now because of the other films kind of take the spotlight at the moment, but we're seeing like a general trend of box office bust across a lot of films lately. Barbie and Top Gun Maverick being some of the exceptions to that. I think it's just because people are just fed up with seeing a lot of stuff. If you want a film that doesn't have a lot of political ideology thrown at you, I would go with Bluebeetle just for that alone. Because it seems in every film that Hollywood releases these days, there's always some message that's counter family values and all that they keep trying to run on, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm not really a big fan of the Snow White film, considering how it's Disney's most iconic property, and they're going to change the whole entire story to be something not Snow White. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Getting back to the review here, the Reyes family is really strong and tightly knit, and there's a lot of funny moments between them. I think one of the biggest things that I wish the film had just spent more time on was just who is the Cord family, why are things like the way they are, that kind of a deal. Just seems like they really just were quick to rush the conclusion, and they could have dragged it out another 10 minutes to just kind of explain more plot details. But what I assume is their plan is that they're going to hope that they get funding for a second one, which I hope that they do, and they're going to put out another film within another 2 to 3 years. I just don't like seeing the current state of films right now. You have that writer's strike, which is on its 115th day, I think now. And a lot of discontent among writers being replaced by AI, which I can understand, but I think they kind of put themselves in this hole because of how they were writing things, not really appealing to family values. They really just appeal counter to family values, because I believe that you should make films that everybody can enjoy and not just for the 1 or 2%. If you're going to make a film with a large budget, it should appeal to a mass audience. And you shouldn't do things that piss off a lot of people, such as The Last Jedi, with making Luke Skywalker like the Jake Skywalker, like Mark Hamill says. I think Mark Hamill really took a lot of time to remind us that, hey, this probably isn't going to be well. This probably ain't going to be a good film. Rise of Skywalker was a patchwork at best. Not really the best nor the greatest film. Honestly, I think the Star Wars new trilogy, that should be reset back to the point of the 7th one, and they should just redo it, but there's no way to do that since Carrie Fisher has passed away and Harrison Ford's getting up there, and so is Mark Hamill. It's just a shame that they destroyed an iconic franchise by just not even letting the main three, Luke, Leia, and Han, interact with each other in that. That's why I think Bluebeetle is a better film than The Last Jedi, because the main characters actually interact with each other, and there's no forced agenda on you like so many other Hollywood films are. Honestly, I think that a lot of folks would like it if I just did everything in color, but the reason why I even keep killer film reviews in black and white is because I want to pay an homage to the 1920s cinema. Back to the times when cinema was actually good, when people actually came to cinema for laughs, and didn't have messages pushed on them, which is what most modern cinematic films have turned to. I think that the only recent film that wasn't trying to push any specific things was probably Little Mermaid in itself. Sure, you have a different character, you have an African-American actress playing the Ariel, but that honestly doesn't affect the plot too much, in my opinion. I feel like the plot still carried itself well in that particular film, and I have no problems with it. I've yet to see Barbie. I might not even get a chance to, because it might go out of theaters by the time I get a chance to see it, just because I'm so busy. I get a chance to see it, I'll try to make that a film review, but I recently did pick up some old films. Among them, the Miami Vice unrated cut. I'm going to be watching that if I can't get into Barbie, honestly. Hook it up to my little computer here and watch it right from the computer. But I think my biggest annoyance with just Hollywood in general these days is just pushing messages that don't necessarily appeal to everybody, because ideally films will be acceptable to a majority of the audience, not just to 1 or 2% of the population. But the reason why the films are skewed that way is because in Hollywood, they're in California, and Cali's just kind of in the middle of all of it right now. Does that mean I don't like Cali? No. I just think that people should have choice, and that we shouldn't be having all this messaging put on us in every single film that we watch. I feel like if you want to fix Hollywood, you got to start by going back to what actually made Hollywood great, which was the good films that were designed for entertainment, pure entertainment, and not trying to push a message. If you're going to push a message, then make it like Lord of War, where it actually means something, where you're actually against arms sales and you're for peace. But the recent, Hollywood box office numbers seem to suggest that a lot of people just want to go to the films for fun, and they don't want to have messages pandered to them 24/7. Honestly, if somebody comes up to me and says The Last Jedi was the greatest film ever made, I'm going to shake my head and say, no, you don't understand real good cinema, and you're just going along with what everybody says, rather than taking a critical analysis and saying, hey, the whole franchise got rid of the main cast. The main cast was essentially shut to the side, not even allowed to interact with each other. You had Luke with barely any lines. I mean, the list goes on, but they could have done better with that. And I think that Kathleen Kennedy is a terrible person for destroying Indiana Jones and Star Wars. I feel like with time, people will understand that more and more, what she did to that brand. I have nothing wrong with there being a woman as a CEO. My problem is with a person's ability to manage a company and to actually listen to its fans. That's my problem. If you can't manage to check the boxes of, hey, let's at least have the main characters interact with each other. Let's at least stay true to what actually was in the original 3 movies. Then I have no problem with you. But if you just tear things apart, what's the expression I'm looking for here? If you just tear things apart and just destroy things instead of actually creating something new and transformative with the content, then you're really not suited to lead a film company. I'm sorry, but there is a time and a place for new content and new ideas, and that's with side films, not with the main films, which are supposed to earn you a lot of money. And I am just shocked that Kathleen Kennedy is not removed from her role at Lucasfilm, considering all the damage that she has done to the Star Wars brand and to the Indiana Jones brands. These actors and actresses that play in the original movies, they're not going to be here for much longer. They probably got another 10 or 20 years left of them. That's it. At best. And I would just say that if Bob Iger happens to come across this video, or any of the Disney executive team, you all blew it by not listening to your audience and by continuing to inflate films with your ideas instead of listening to what actually worked. And I predict a very, very massive box office disaster for Snow White if things don't change course. I'm calling it now, because the actress Rachel Zegler came out and basically is saying, oh, the original film was bad, blah, 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 blah. But then you forget that the whole film The original Snow White film is based on the Brothers Grimm tale, which was a nightmare story. I don't remember the exact plot of the Brothers Grimm version, but normally with the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, they were very dark and they were more horror. If you actually took these tales and animated them, which some have done, I remember seeing a VHS in a classroom a long time ago with the Hansel and Gretel, with that Brothers Grimm tale specifically, but then it got pretty bad, so the teacher turned it off. That's how bad it was. I think it was like maybe in my 3rd grade class or whatever, if I remember correctly. But honestly, the Brothers Grimm, you want to get the original, look up the Brothers Grimm version, and you tell me if that's better than what we got from the original Snow White. And Snow White was always meant to be it was what helped Disney actually grow as a company. And now here they are 100 years later trying to destroy it. At least with Bluebeetle, it stays to family values. And I don't find anything wrong with it. It's hilarious how a director, this Angel Manuel Soto, can get things right, but an American director, what the hell was his name? I can't even remember his name because it's been so long, but whoever the director of The Last Jedi, he is not as good a director as Angel Manuel Soto. Angel Manuel Soto made a better film than The Last Jedi. A much, much better film. And I want to encourage you to go and see Bluebeetle. Go and see it. Go see it because DC needs to have its fans back. And just because we don't like James Gunn doesn't mean we shouldn't support the new works. This is not a time to sit there and not support DC. We just have to accept that maybe the Snyderverse is gone for now, but maybe it'll come back in the future. And some of you may be like, hey, what does this guy know? It's not like he actually helped out with the campaigns. And it's like, yeah, I did. I kind of tweeted, restore the Snyder Cut, restore the Snyder Cut, and restore the Ayer Cut multiple times. Even the Ayer Cut guy follows me. And I'm just telling you that unless things change course, you're not going to see many people going to the cinema, and the death of cinema will come because we continue to push these ideas on everybody. People come to films for entertainment, not to be pandered to. Films shouldn't have to check off some checklist. And it's ridiculous that they do. And I think that we're going to see a lot of change with cinema, and that Hollywood's going to go through another transformative era because they will keep losing at the box office unless they change. Because when people go to see a film, they go to see the film for entertainment, not to be told a million different messages. Films are supposed to be entertainment and nothing else. If you're going to tell a message, tell a message. Keep it to something that people can understand and don't try to jam it down our throats. Make it more subtle. Seriously. Honestly, like, I'm like a guy that goes and watches 4 to 5 films. There's probably not a lot of people out there like me left that'll actually sit through multiple different works and actually take the time to see different films. I try to keep an open mind, but even I am getting annoyed with the current films. Honestly. It's like the A24 people know how to make films right, but everybody else not so much these days. I don't know how else to put it, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling at the moment with how things are going with Hollywood. I don't really like what they're doing. There's not much I can do about it. But just say on my small little channel here on YouTube, hey, maybe it's time that you guys change it. and listen to the common man and the common woman and say, we need to make these films actually funny again. And I must say that Bluebeetle is actually funny. It is funny. It is the kind of entertainment I want from a film, where I'm actually entertained and I'm not sitting around and being bored because I'm being pandered to. So, you know what? We're just gonna say Bluebeetle's an 8 out of 10, and not a 7.5 out of 10, because it makes more sense to make it an 8 out of 10 for my final rating on it. Go watch it in theaters. Go support DC. Let's try to keep it going at least, because we need a competitor to Marvel. Because Marvel's been getting away with getting too many easy box office numbers. Recent films not so much, but it's time for DC to rise and for Marvel to take a back seat for once. So until next time, thank you for watching Killer Film Reviews. Check out the other channels under the channel tab, and I hope you all have a great day.